Hi everyone, it's Miss Terry and I'm here today with my November picks for students in grade 4. We'll go through some fiction and then we'll go through some nonfiction and some graphic novels, and hopefully you'll find something that you enjoy. This first one is a relatively newer one by Gordon Korman, who's written a lot of books for young teens. This one is called Unplugged, and in this story Jet is kind of a spoiled, rotten teenager who gets pretty much anything he wants from his very wealthy dad, but his dad is kind of been fed up with some of the pranks that Jet has been pulling at school and decides that he needs to go to a camp and go completely unplugged. No electricity, no phones, no video games, no nothing. And Jet is basically miserable. He doesn't like to be there at all. He ends up finding this little newt, and they kind of become buddies, and he's trying to smuggle it into camp to keep it away from the adults. He's starting to make some unlikely friends there when they discover that the head of the camp is hypnotizing local adults into giving them their money. And the kids decide that it's up to them to stop them from this dastardly plot, and hopefully as a result, Jet will be able to get back to regular civilization. Gordon Korman always has really fun premises for his stories with a lot of humor and a lot of action adventure. So that one's called Unplugged. This next one is a little bit on the scary side. This one is called Karma Moon Ghost Hunter. And Karma's dad is really obsessed with the paranormal. And he just got the call from Netflix that his totally rad video crew can go to the Stanley Hotel in Colorado, which is reputed to be haunted, and film a TV series there. And he's hoping that this notoriety of this series will be so successful that it will entice his wife back into their lives. Karma is not totally convinced that this is actually going to help, but she's totally on board to support her father. She ends up making a few friends while she is there, as well as trying to discover the mystery of what is going on in this spooky house. I wouldn't say it's terrifying, but it's definitely on the spooky side. The $150,000 Rugula is the story of young Jack, who is, he's determined that someday he's going to be like a Food Network star. He loves to bake. Unfortunately, in the school bake-off, he loses to a very unlikely heroine named Jillian, whose mother has just died, and she pretty much just wants to be left alone. But she did enter the baking contest with her mom's recipe for Rugula, and it does win. And Jack is convinced that if the two of them pair up, they can win a baking contest and earn $150,000, which he's sure going to launch his baking career. So this is called the $150,000 Rugula. If you like baking shows, you definitely will enjoy that one. This next one is called Just Watch Me. This is definitely for video game fans. And this is about Simon, who is a gamer, a very good gamer. He will qualify for a big competition in Canada, where the competition takes place in Vancouver, and he's trying to convince his parents to make it into kind of a family trip. He's kind of tired of his parents always arguing, and he's hoping if they can get back to Vancouver, which is where they met, that they'll stop fighting and hopefully not get a divorce. Unfortunately, his parents set a condition. They will only take him to the competition if he gets straight A's in his 7th grade year, which normally isn't that hard for him, but he now is in a tech ed class, and instead of just being able to do his techie stuff with his gaming, he actually has to do some social media videos, and he has to get likes from his classmates, which has not ever been really a good strong suit for him. So this is a story about him trying to figure out what his friends like so that he can get enough likes to go to his gaming convention. So it's called Just Watch Me. It's a nice quick read. Only If You Dare is a collection of 13 stories, definitely on the scary side. If you like books like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, you definitely will enjoy this. And this is a book about everyday objects that come to haunt your every waking moment, all of your thoughts and your actions. There are definitely some terrifying moments for the characters in this book, including a very creepy doll that comes to life. So that's called Only If You Dare. Definitely read that one with the lights on. Summer of Brave is a story about a girl named Lila, and Lila and her three friends, Vivi and Knox, every summer they kind of make this summer wish of something that they're going to work on over the summer in order to make their lives better. And this year they decide that they're going to wish for bravery, and Lila needs it the most right now because her parents are divorced, they're very competitive, and they have very high expectations of Lila. They want her to go to a very competitive school. They think that they already know what she should be doing for the rest of her life, and Lila really isn't quite sure that she's on the same page as them, and she wants to be able to tell them. So she's looking to find the courage to say, no, this is not what I want. I just want to go to public school with my friends. I don't need to go to an elite school. I don't want to necessarily be a scientist. I want to be me. And so this summer she's hoping that she will find the bravery she needs to stand on her own 2 feet. So it's called Summer of Brave. This next one is a choose your own adventure. This one is called Can You Survive? And it's actually 3 different books. Can you survive the sinking of the Titanic, the jungle, and an earthquake? There's a whole bunch of different endings, a lot of different choices. You can read these books over and over again and have a different outcome each time. But unfortunately, you might not always make good choices, and you could die while reading this book. Not literally, but definitely figuratively. So hopefully you can make good choices and get through each of those scenarios. This next one is also a survival story. It's part of the Girls Survive. If you like the I Survived series, you probably will enjoy these. These are all historical fiction. This one is called Emmy in the City, and it takes place during the Great Chicago Fire. And Emmy is actually a German immigrant to America. She gets bullied a lot by the American-born coworkers that she works with, and unfortunately she ends up being with them on the night of the Great Fire, and they're going to eventually have to work together if they're all going to survive the night. Again, these are nice quick reads, but if you like survival stories, you'll enjoy them. This next one is called The Anti-Book, and it's about a boy named Mickey who he's really just tired of his divorced parents. He's tired of his sister who's always nagging at him, and his sister's boyfriend is kind of a bully, and he just kind of wishes that everybody could just go away. And he ends up seeing an advertisement and a piece of bubblegum for a notebook that's supposed to make magical things happen. When he gets it, he's kind of disappointed because it's basically blank, but it says to erase it, write it. And he discovers that the things that he doesn't like, if he writes it in the notebook, they suddenly disappear. And as more and more things get erased from his life, he realizes that maybe not everything is just so bad. So it's called The Anti-Book. And then the last fiction one I'm going to talk about today, this one is called The Unicorn Rescue Society, The Creature of the Pines. This is the first in the series. I'm bringing it out again though because there's quite a few left, quite a few new ones in the series. So if you're interested in magical creatures, you definitely will enjoy this. This is about a boy named Elliot who on his first day of school is off to a field trip into a very creepy kind of, it's called the Pine Barren Forest, and there they were told of the creature of the pines, and a girl who goes to school there, she's a Nigerian kind of punk rock vibe. Her name is I think it's Uchenna. Uchenna is all about danger. She actually goes looking for it, whereas Elliot would probably be more like, I don't know if I want to do that. But then they end up finding some different creatures and realize that there is a society that is trying to keep them hidden from the rest of the world, and the two of them get recruited to be a part of it. So again, this is the first in the series. All right, let's look at some graphic novels. I have a whole bunch of sequel pairs for you today. I'm going to talk about the first book in the series and then just show you the second book. This first one is called The Pathfinder Society, and it takes place in a place where there is a treasure that people are trying to find. It's called the Windrose Treasure, and a wealthy benefactor has set up this camp. It's called Camp Pathfinder to help young people look for the clues to see if they can find this treasure. So this is the first in the series, and then the second one has already arrived. It's called The Curse of the Crystal Cavern. So if you love kind of like Escape from Mr. Limoncello's Library, if you like clues, if you like to try to figure things out, you definitely will enjoy this graphic novel series. There is a second one now too in the Dear Justice League series, and this one is called Dear Supervillains. So in the first one, people are writing to the superheroes to ask them questions about their lives, and on this second series, they're trying to find out what it's like on the darker side, and they're writing and asking questions of the villains to their superheroes. Okay, so that's number 2 in there. This next one is called A Better Place, and this is about a boy named Dylan who, at the beginning of the story, is living with his mom and his grandpa. And his grandpa is not afraid of putting on a cape and acting out scenarios with Dylan, who is kind of obsessed with superheroes. But unfortunately, his grandfather dies in an accident. And his mom keeps saying that his grandpa is in a better place. And Dylan decides he's going to go find that better place and find his grandpa because he misses him so much. So this is called Better Place. This one is called Chibi Usagi, and this is a story about the Dagu village. It's kind of been enslaved by the king, Salamander King, and his heebie-jeebies minions that really kind of make life miserable. So Chibi Usagi has decided that he and his friends are going to rescue this village and destroy the Salamander King. This is definitely written in a manga style of artwork and storyline. It's called Chibi Usagi. And then there's 3 now in the Mech Cadet U universe. I have the first one here, and this is a story about Stanford, who kind of is kind of young, but he lives in a world where they build these robots that kind of connect with people that go to this academy. And once you're paired up with a robot, you kind of work together against the forces of evil. And then young Stanford is there one day when one of the robots accidentally connects with him, and he realizes that he's now going to have to go to this big school that normally very elite fighting team kind of people go to, and here's this little kid with his robot. And so this is him at the beginning of his adventures, and then 2 more to follow. This next one is called Shadow Island, and number 2 is out. And this is the story of Ollie. And Ollie lives in Sueño Bay. He got moved there against his will. He did not want to go, and he just doesn't like it there. It's always raining, and it's just gloomy and boring, and all of his friends were left behind in his old, where he used to live, and he's decided that he's going to take the next boat and get out of there. But before he does that, he gets asked to go on an adventure with some friends. And they discover a creature living in the woods, and you can kind of see the outline of him. And they realize that there's something very different about the islands of Sueño Bay, and he might have to stick around after all. So this is Shadow Island, and then Otter Lagoon is in the second. You can see there's a new creature in the second one. And then the last graphic novel I'm going to talk about is called Surfside Girls. And the first one is called The Secret of Danger Point. Number 2 and 3 are actually out. And we have all of them. And this is a story about 2 girls, Samantha and Jade, and the owner of Danger Point has passed away, and the girls take their surfboards and they decide they're gonna go kind of check out the estate. And what they discover is that there are ghosts living there, and the girls realize that the ghosts actually need protecting. Unfortunately, Danger Point is about to be sold to a new group of developers, and they're not sure what's gonna happen to the ghosts that are living there, and they decide that they're going to help them. And those ghosts become good characters throughout the series. So it's called Surfside Girls. So if you like Scooby-Doo, you probably would enjoy Surfside Girls. All right, let's look at some nonfiction. This first one is called The Elephant Doctor of India. And this story actually takes place in 2015 when a young bull elephant ends up touching an electric fence, and the current goes right through him. He ends up on the ground, and the people call in Dr. Kushal Kanawar, who is known as the Elephant Doctor. And this is the story of what it's like to be a veterinarian, to almost like the Elephant Whisperer, and what he was able to do to save that elephant. Crow Smarts is another animal book that talks about the incredible crow that, the term bird brain often gets thrown around, meaning that you're not very smart, but crows are actually very intelligent and rank right up there with dolphins and pigs and other intelligent creatures. And this book looks all at what scientists are doing to study the crow and see how smart really are they. And you can see right here, a crow is using a tool to get some dinner. It's really quite amazing, the feats that they can do. And then one more animal one. This one is part of the science comic series, so it's written in graphic novel format, even though it is nonfiction. And this one is all about bats and how bats learn to fly. So if you're very interested in bats, you will enjoy this story. I have a couple different drawing books. This one is Hollywood Style, and it's fun fashions that you can sketch, and it gives you step-by-step instructions in how to draw fashion, but not only fashion, but also like different body styles and different poses. You can kind of see some of the different shapes they ask you to start out with before you start putting the cool fashions on them. So if you're interested in maybe being a fashion designer, or you just like drawing books, you probably will enjoy this. And then this one, the cover of it is always kind of bleh, but it's actually step-by-step drawing optical illusions. And it gives you step-by-step instructions on just how to go about doing that. So if you feel like drawing real life things isn't really for me, but I think I can draw some of these shapes and try to fool the eye of my friends, this is a good choice for you. This next one is called Brain Lab for Kids. It's 52 mind-blowing experiments, models, and activities to explore neuroscience. So all the activities in this book try to show different ways on how your brain works, and ways that you can trick your brain and ways that you can get your brain to be smarter. So if you like hands-on activity books, this is definitely a good choice for you. I have a new baking book. This one is called The Big Fun Kids Baking Book. It's actually put out by the Food Network with tons of great recipes for delicious items, some easy, some not so easy, a whole section on cupcakes, Rice Krispie treats, different ways to do that, whoopie pies, pumpkin spice chocolate chip cookies. Oh, this book is making me hungry. But if you are a budding baker, this has really great step-by-step instructions. And if you ever need somebody to taste test the things that you make, you can feel free to bring it in for the librarians. I also have a new encyclopedia about dogs. This is all about dogs in a very straightforward manner. If you are learning about different breeds, if you're learning about different ways to take care of your dog, this would be a good choice for you. If you're just plain dog crazy, you probably will enjoy the Dog Encyclopedia for Kids. I have another on the Greatest of All Time series. This one is particular to football, and it's Brady versus Breeze versus Rodgers versus Montana. So it looks at 4 of some of the greatest current quarterbacks and looks at all of their stats and the things that they're good at and kind of compares them so that you can determine who is the greatest of all time. And then the last one I'm going to talk about today, this is called Go Quiz Yourself Sports. So if you feel like you're a sport fanatic, if you know all about sports trivia, this one gives you different questions, and then it gives you the answers, and then it gives you a lot of different facts about those sports. So here's one in particular about skiing. So you can learn about the different sports if you're not so knowledgeable about them, but you can also test yourself first to see what you still need to learn. So let's go Quiz Yourself Sports. Hopefully you find something to enjoy.